Hello, I'm Azim Magarsa. Welcome to OBN English News Service. Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed has made a surprise visit to the Ministry of Transport and Ministry of Innovation and Technology. During the visit, Minister of Transport, Dagmawit Moges, briefed the Prime Minister on the institutional reforms undertaken within the ministry. According to her, the reform would help the ministry to improve its service and achieve its mission. Meanwhile, Minister of Innovation and Technology, Dr. Engineer Getaun Makuria, said the visit by the Prime Minister would inspire us to charge our responsibility effectively. Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed underlined responsibility and obligation of the government to legally ensure the supremacy of law under the context of legal system of the nation and its institutions. Tamaskan Mulatu has a detail.
The Office of the Prime Minister held experts roundtable focused on rule of law and democratic transition. Panelists of the discussion were Maza Shannafi, President of the Federal Supreme Court, Mufirat Kamil, Minister of Peace, and Dr. Danyacho Safa, Professor of Philosophy at Addis Ababa University, citing international reports that show Ethiopia's progression in maintaining security and order in 2018. Maza highlighted the current transition from the government using the law for its own purpose to working towards institutionalizing rule of law. Mufirat, for her part, affirmed commitment of the government to build democracy based on engagement as opposed to authoritarianism, according to the Office of the Prime Minister. Dr. Danyacho explored the philosophical underpinning of the rule of law, bringing to the fore the milestone achieved by the current administration in democratizing and the key challenges in it is encountering. Dr. Danyacho Safa from Addis Ababa University provided a distinction between the rule of law and the rule by law as a basis for understanding where we are and where we are coming from. Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed, who attended the session, discussed the responsibility and obligation of the government to legally ensure the supremacy of the law under the context of the legal system of the nation and its institution.
የህግ የበላይነትን ሳይሆን በህግ መግዛትን እንድንለማመድ የሚያደርገን ብሎ እነዛን ህጎች መለየት እነዛን ህጎች
Not only the supremacy of the law, but we have to identify the law that rule us. If there is concrete law, the government will also ensure the supremacy of the law. The other thing is that we were complaining a year ago that peace institutions, defense force and police were not discharging their responsibility. Therefore, we have to change this institution first. Otherwise, how can we expect good things from them? So changing this institution might take more than 4 to 5 years. We are also striving to change the wrongdoings took place in courts. The Premier expressed the importance of patience and his government is not only committed about the capable of safeguarding the safety of its citizens.
ዲሞክራሲን ሰማ ነው እንጂ ስላልኖር ነው የማለማመጃ ጊዜ ይፈልጋል። ለዚያ ደስታ ከረሜላው ደግሞ ስንቆነጠጥ መቻል ነው።
We have heard about democracy, but we never exercise it. We have to practice it. When we do so, there are punishments. We have to tolerate it. To deepen democratic system in the country, we have to have patience and discuss.
Meanwhile, the Office of the Prime Minister held at this Wage Express roundtable focused on rule of law and democratic transition. Aklilu Gabru has a story.
Office of the Prime Minister held at this Wage Experts Roundtable discussion focused on rule of law and democratic transitions, citing international reports that show Ethiopia's progression in maintaining security and order in 2018. President of the Federal Supreme Court, Maza Shannafi, highlighted the current transition from government using the law for its own purposes to working towards institutionalizing rule of law. The court has legitimate right to stagnate the ever-existing tide, but for courts to exercise their full right for the respect of rule of law, active participation of all citizens is mandatory. Minister of Peace Mufirat Kamil, for her part, affirmed the commitment of the government to build a democracy based on engagement as opposed to authoritarianism.
መንግስት ከአቅም አንጻር ህግ ለማስከበርም ከበቂ በላይ
Don't worry, the government has full power and readiness for the respect of rule of law. Especially, we do not compromise on the valuable life of citizens. So concerted effort of public and government is needed to sustainably institutionalize rule of law. Dr. Danyacho Asafa from Addis Ababa University explored the philosophical underpinnings of the rule of law, bringing to the fore the milestones achieved by the current administration in democratizing and the key challenges it is encountering. Dr. Getachew Asafa, also from Addis Ababa University, provided a distinction between the rule of law and rule by law as a basis for understanding where we were and where we are coming from. Some participants of the discussion remarked that the government has to take initiative to safeguard the peace of its citizens.
መንግስት ትልቁን ኮንትራክት ማክበር አልቻለም የሚል እምነት አለኝ።
As to me, the government is showing weakness in relation to keeping peace of its citizens. I believe the country has strong military and police officers, so the government has to make accountable the groups that were responsible for displacement of citizens.
Panel discussion on peace and tolerance has held in Adama town. The forum was jointly organized by House of Federation and the Ministry of Science and Higher Education. Several scholars drawn from the 54 universities of the country have taken part on the discussion. The discussion has been held under the theme Peace and Tolerance for Unity of the Nation. Speaking on the occasion, Speaker of the House of Federation, Gary Abraham, said the long-term peace and coexistence of the community should be strengthened to support higher education. She said higher learning institutions need to play a major role in national peace and unity rather than a starting point for conflict. Ethiopia is not in a forceful situation to use the reserve currency. Dr. Yinagar said the country has sufficient foreign currency reserves on the current budget year. He also noted that the economic activity was driven by